I think the undercurrent of the whole film is what can these women do when they are here in this school with each other, being strong, and what can they achieve and where will they go? The whole premise is what can they become? Welcome to Popcorn Moms, the podcast for parents who love their kids most but loved movies first. We're your co-hosts, Stephanie
and Netta, two movie lovers turned moms. Join us as we reconnect with the things that make us whole outside of parenthood, namely watching movies about unhinged girls in the 60s.
Woo!
This week we're talking about Strike, also called All I Wanna Do, a 1998 comedy directed by Sarah Kernochan, I think is how it's pronounced, starring Kirsten Dunst and Gabby Hoffman. The film takes place at an all-girls boarding school in 1963. It focuses on several students plotting and sabotage of a proposed merger for the school to go co-ed. This was Stephanie's pick. So why did you choose this movie?
I chose this movie for a few reasons, as is typically the case. Probably the most apparent reason is that in my mind, it is linked to Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is what we last watched at your suggestion. The reason they are linked in my mind is they came out around the same time. Your part, Kirsten Dunst is in both of them. Fabulous. They're both like of that, I guess, 90s female cast ensemble thing, but they're both notoriously hard to find. Like they both disappeared after like my early teendom. And so whenever I like want to watch one, it always makes me want to watch the other. Because I can never find them. And so when we watched Drop Dead Gorgeous, it's like I was conditioned to then be like, okay, now I will watch Strike.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about it. But yeah, mainly you hadn't seen it and I really wanted you to watch it. So that's why I chose it.
Yeah, and I have really wanted to watch it. Also around the time that this came out, was probably when I was taking the lead a lot from my sister about movies that I was watching. So like I am positive that the reason I watched Drop Dead Gorgeous is because my sister had watched it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Strike might have been maybe just a little bit too young for her. I'm not sure. At the time that it came out. I'm not sure. But yeah.
And like this one too, like it came out, but it didn't get a wide release. It was very limited release. I Googled why, something involving Harvey Weinstein. And like,
oh, really?
Yeah. And like rights to the movie, and he wanted a limited release and he pulled it. Anyways,
he's everything I've learned about him. I mean, the worst stuff, this is not the worst stuff, but like just so vindictive and petty.
I know.
And uses his control. Oh.
Yeah. So
this doesn't surprise me, but I had no idea.
I didn't get too into it, but like the intention was that this was going to be like a big blockbuster when you look at the cast.
Yeah.
And like who is in it at the time. And then that got pulled back last minute and it was like limited to no theater release, outraging many. So it became kind of a cult classic. So many people, like when I was younger and watched this, like a lot of people didn't even know about it. Like I can't even remember the first time I saw it, but it wasn't of my own seeking it out. It was somewhere someone was like, oh, like I can't remember. And then at some point the name changed.
Yeah.
In England, I think in England or Britain, it's called The Hairy Bird.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
What's going on?
It's a wild ride of indecision and secrecy is this movie. And so, did you like it?
I did like it. I enjoyed it. I was thinking about our conversation at the end of Drop Dead Gorgeous when you asked, like, what would it be like to see this movie as an adult?
Yeah.
And we're talking about, like, what would it be like to see this movie as an adult for the first time? Like, to not have seen it in our youth.
Yes.
Right? And to just, so this is the experience that I had with this movie, where it's like, this is a movie that I could have been nostalgic for, except that I didn't see it. And now it's more clear why I didn't see it, why many people didn't see it. And yeah, I mean, it's like, it's fun, it's clever, it has a lot of the same qualities as Drop Dead Gorgeous in that way, but like way less dark. But I would say like it doesn't have like a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair. I love actually that we have these two different perspectives, because there might be people that have had my experience where I've seen it a bunch and love it, and it's like has a special place. And then there's probably people who are maybe watching it as adults, so they can like connect. But I was going to say, interestingly, watching Drop Dead Gorgeous as an adult, I found like I still love this, but like in a different way, and I may not watch it again. This movie, I feel like took on a whole new meaning for me as an adult woman, and I loved it so much more. There's new things I like about it now, being like an adult woman, being more aware of like patriarchy and like the world and the male-female dynamic, and now having a daughter. Like I was picking up on different things. And then I was watching like, I think once we were talking about our ideas of romance and what we find romantic, and I'm watching this movie, I was like, oh, this is why I think these things are romantic, because 13-year-old me was in love with like this character or this love story and really like took it to heart.
Wow.
Yeah, but now watching, I'm like, oh, that's actually really bad. like that's not. No.
Okay. Okay, let's start here then.
Okay.
Which love story? There's no love story here that occurred to me to be like, oh wow, this is really great.
Right?
Like what?
I know.
So which one? What are you talking about?
So when I was younger, my obsession over Tinka and Snake was unmatched. So you have Tinka, like cool, edgy girl, and then they go into town. Like it's an all-girl school. They go into town, and this fellow Snake and his ragamuffin friends.
The beatniks? They're modeled after beatniks, I guess, right? Like the Jack Kerouac type of, yeah.
Like they're all, it's, I don't know, they're a wacky bunch. But like the way he just is so obsessed with her right from the get-go, 13-year-old me was very into this. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Oh my God. Okay, but I think that's helpful.
Is it helpful? Did I explain that well? I don't know.
It just didn't connect. I think partly didn't connect as an adult viewer.
No,
But I think also, I don't know if I would have been into it as a kid.
Oh, no?
As a 13-year-old. I think even as a tween, teen, whatever, I didn't love the idea that like your life was organized around being a girl or being a boy. And some of this I think had to do with like being a tomboy. You know, my friend group was definitely a mix of like boys and girls at that age. Like it didn't really speak to me. Which is why it was so delightfully surprising when I started this movie and like the main character, or Gaby Hoffman's character.
Yeah, I love her so much.
So good. She's just going to the school for the first time. She's being forced to go. And she's like, this is going to be hell. I hate this. Like that character spoke to me.
Yes,
I knew that was me.
I was like, if you're going to identify with anyone,
absolutely,
it's going to be her.
It's like the movie like foresees people's reaction or kids' reactions to this as maybe being like not super into it or not immediately sold on an all-girl school.
Odette is her name, but Gabby Hoffman's character, Odette, she was the one that I also kind of like leaned to, but I think it's set up that way, right? Yeah. Because you're introduced to her and then you follow her in. So I just wanted to clarify that I also didn't feel strongly about the plot when I was 13. But what's interesting is now watching it, I got so much more out of it. The plot is like what really stood out to me. So much of it resonates with like what's happening in today's world and the conversations and stuff. And this movie came out 27 years ago. And it was set in the 60s. And like a lot of these things, like the headmistress, like a lot of the things she was saying, I was like, oh my God, like this is still such a thing. I don't know. I found it very empowering this time around. I think as a teen, I was like, this is a fun movie. And like, I'm so in love with this snake guy coming in this crane. And that's so sweet. And now I'm like, female empowerment. Yes. I don't know. It's just a different.
Yeah.
It's speaking to me in a different way.
For sure. I mean, I think that like this very interesting, precious, whatever time of like girl teenagehood. I feel like that's come up in so many. I feel like this is a very Kirsten Dunst thing, right? Because we've got that in Marie Antoinette. I know.
Yes.
Kirsten Dunst, patron saint of popcorn moms. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah, she's gonna end up being in like 20% of the movies we cover or something.
That's funny.
We are truly the Millennial Moms podcast.
I know,
anyway.
right? My God. Right now we are.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, this kind of period of like teenage girlhood being one where that just so vivid in film or can be. And it's like, it's something that you want to protect and something that you want to allow to flourish. And like your concern that like, if you squander this now, if you kind of like restrict this now, when is girlhood or being female ever going to have as much of a chance to just like burst open as it does, you know, during that time period? And so I think that there is something like really beautiful about this idea of like letting that happen. At the same time, like, you know, part of that is about interacting with boys and about being part of the wider world. And I think also, again, it does kind of come back to this thing of this being a pretty elite and like cloistered kind of a place, and maybe that's okay. But this thing of like, it's just such a cocoon. So it's very special. It's also, you know, full of people who are just very much alike, who are all very much alike in not just in terms of like sex and gender, but also in terms of like class and race and blah, 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 blah.
Breeding. Yeah.
Breeding. Yes.
Good breed.
But again, I think it is also, you know, even within that sameness, you do see each character is very much their own and has their own dreams and their own personality and like is so different from each other. So I don't know. There is, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So after that, I have a couple things. One, what's the deal with boarding schools? Let's talk about that. And the other thing that I do want to come back to is them as individuals with their own dreams and stuff. Because I have a couple thoughts on that. Like watching it now, I think I can appreciate more that they each had their own like larger than life aspirations, and they had this like whole like no more white gloves, and they wanted to kind of break through that. They all, of course, like have also the means. Like, they're come from very rich families to help prop that up. But I was watching it with this different lens of like, oh, like this is like good messaging, I think, like in terms of like dreaming big and like, oh my God, the idea of like, as women, we have to help each other. Okay, now I want to talk about boarding schools, but wait, let's follow this train for a second. Like, I don't think I appreciated when I was younger this idea of like, we have all vowed to help each other however we can. And this person's going to be on my magazine and they're going to be the doctor. But like, they had this whole plan. And I just think so much of how women are raised, it's very like catty and against each other. And you're in competition for things. And like, I don't have any like, whoa examples from my life, but it's just the general feeling you get. Like people talk about like, you're the prettier one, you're the smarter one, she's the like classy one, she's the funny one. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like this world of comparing. And I loved so much in this movie, it was about building each other up. And so I really enjoyed that. I would like you to talk about that. Do you have any thoughts?
Beautiful.
You usually have good thoughts about these things.
No, yes, I appreciated that as well. I will also say, just to add on, you know, these are people with like the kind of privilege and the background to be able, the means to actually, you know, make these dreams happen. But they make the point that like, yeah, the girls at the school all have are all have like the greatest advantages, and yet, you know, 3-4 years after graduating, they'll all be married with 3 kids, whatever. And so this club that they have of this friend group is about supporting each other in the dreams that they have, to not get stuck in that, to not just get on that kind of path that like, even though there are opportunities to do other things, the path is really set for them to be housewives and stay-at-home moms. Actually, it's kind of reminding me of Mona Lisa's smile now when we put it like that a little bit. What I love about this movie, and I think that it's the same thing that you're talking about, what really got me watching it was this idea that they were going to support each other in achieving their dreams, even if they didn't like those dreams.
Yes.
So Gaby Hoffman's dream, what she really wants is to to be an ex-virgin.
Yeah.
What a great way to put it.
I know.
You know, Kirsten Dunst's character is like, oh, you shouldn't be thinking about that. That's so silly, blah, 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 blah. But nonetheless, that does not take, like, first and foremost, the first reaction, or like the overwhelming reaction is like, okay, how do we make that happen? Also, I think that dream's kind of dumb and you should be dreaming bigger, but that's fine.
But that's fine. We'll check that box first.
Exactly. And the other thing that I really loved about the movie is that at least for Gaby Hoffmann and for Kirsten Dunst, maybe not so much for the other three kind of main friends, but definitely for them, what they wanted changed by the end of the movie. And I love that too, right? There's something about that I found so wonderful and does again have to do, I think, with this period of time as well. And that there's just the room for these girls to dream big or small, to support each other and to change.
So well said. There's probably a name for it where characters like do a 180. Like I've seen it in shows where like you have two characters and they're on this side and then at the end they're on the opposite. Mona Lisa Smile also does this, right? Where like the characters' tracks you think are going and then they switch. I was watching this movie a lot with like, what is this saying? What is this giving? And I feel like it's just so wonderful as it kind of says like you don't have to be stuck in like what you say you want at a certain age. Like you can, like Kirsten Dunst's character is like so against boys. It makes her upset when they come up. It's like upsetting to her when the girls get all frazzled and like wanting to impress the guys. And then here she is at the end, like going to a co-ed school. She got kicked out and that's what led to that. But like she's open to it. She has found her Frosty. That's his name. And I love their little, like he's kind of broken down her walls in a way. Yeah. But it makes sense. And it's a good arc. And then I love Gaby Hoffman's character. She's so into becoming an ex-virgin, and then through the movies like actually wait, there's other things. And I love their kind of like senses of self that you kind of see as the through line. I think like though maybe their goal or ambition or where they are changes, like who they are and staying true to themselves is the thing that we get to see consistently. So I really like that.
And you kind of get a hint of that happening throughout maybe their lives a little bit in the postscript where it says, you know, so-and-so did this and that. And then what's her name? The character that you really loved. What's her name again? Tinka, who's like, we know throughout the movie as the girl who like sleeps around and loves boys and blah, blah, blah. And then her afterward is that like the famous actress, Tinka whatever,
Tinka Parker.
She came out in an interview in like 1990
on the
something
magazine or something.
Yeah. Or was it with Barbara Walters, I think, or something like that.
Walters, yeah.
But like this thing where like actually she's a lesbian, and it's like I was also just really glad that they had some kind of like acknowledgement of lesbians at an old girls' school.
I know, right?
There were some times where I was like, oh, maybe not. And then it's like, no. But they got that in. So that was great.
Know. So you see it with her. Like it's a longer thing. Like you don't see it, but like she also.
It's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, like switches a little bit. I also will say like on a more like maybe micro level, I love in the movie too. So it's found out kind of secretly that the school is planning to merge and go co-ed. We see in this group of 5 friends that 3 are for it, 2 against. Well, 2 very for it. Gaby Hoffman's character is kind of in the middle, and then 2 against. And I really enjoy so much that as a friend group, though they have like a bit of a heated moment there, everyone stays true to what they personally want. Like no one is like convinced to stay and help or whatever. And then Kirsten Dunst and the other gal whose name I can't remember.
The actress is Merritt Weaver, who I love.
I know, I love her as an actress, but I can't remember her name in the movie.
Me either.
But yeah, so they
Merritt. We'll call her Merritt.
Yeah, we'll call her Merritt. And I love that though it's just the 2 of them, they're like, fine, go away. We will still do this. Like I love so much that dedication, because I feel like in a lot of movies, if it's not like we all agree, then I guess we won't do it or whatever. And then I love that through the course of the movie, the other girls come to see like, oh, like they were right. This would be terrible. And then they switch and there's no hard feelings about that. And everyone gets on board. And so again, just this idea of like people staying true to themselves going after what they want, and then also feeling free to change their minds and go in a different direction. And that's comfortable and that's okay.
So true. So true. I'm actually, as we're talking, appreciating more and more how much room there is in this movie for these girls to change their minds.
Right?
I love that, actually.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, as young girls, I feel like you say things and people hold you to that. And like you can get put in boxes. Like, oh, like you dress really preppy, or you're this or you're that. And I like this kind of movie, though, like they each have their own personalities and but like they can kind of like flow and move, and so that's really nice. But that brings me to another point I wanted to discuss. What age group is this movie for? I saw it when I was probably 14, 13, because that's like around the time it would have come out. There's a lot of mature-esque content in this movie. All the talk about sex and intercourse and stuff. There's like smoking, but it is the 60s, so fine. Awkward sex scene. There's like insinuations about the teacher and like the magazines and stuff. Yeah, there's just like a lot of adult themes, I guess. But they're, from their perspective, this would be a lot for like a 10-year-old. Lame for like an 18-year-old.
I don't know about a 10-year-old. I don't think this would have been so crazy for a 11, 12, 13-year-old to watch.
Okay. I don't know.
I have a very bad sense of like what ages, like what is a 5-year-old? I don't know. My kid's not 5 yet, so I have no idea.
I don't
know. And so like, wait, like what's 10? I'm not sure. I kind of remember it, but like, I think so. A couple things. One is, for a lot of kids, if you don't understand it, I think you can just kind of ignore things when you're watching it.
Yeah, that's very fair.
The classic example for me was like, I watched Memento when it came out. I went with my mom in theaters. I was probably around 10, 11, maybe like 11-ish. And I thought it was amazing. I thought it was like such an amazing movie. It's so great. And me and my mom are talking about it afterward. And we're like, oh, so what happened? This and that, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I think it has to do with the drugs, the drug dealing stuff. I'm like, what drugs?
What? Yeah, I know.
It's like, and then I watch it again as an adult, and like, drugs are a huge part of that movie. Like that's like very essential. But I still got a lot out of that movie without understanding a like cornerstone plot element of it. So I think there's that. I think there's that aspect of it. I think also kids are like aware of things.
Yeah.
From a younger age than maybe we give credit for. I mean, especially now. Now it's like a whole other world. I think when we were growing up, though, there's older kids, older siblings, older whatever. Or just like, you're just seeing things. I don't think anything in this movie would have been inappropriate. But I think some of it might have just been irrelevant or gone over kids' heads, or it just might not have resonated for some of it.
Yes, I agree. Because I'm thinking now even about this movie. The first time I saw it, the scene with the foam, like the spermicidal gel, I didn't get that the first time I watched it when I was younger. And same when the headmistress and her colleague are looking through the magazine that's planted in the guy's briefcase, and they get to a page about vibrators. You're talking about them. I didn't get that either as a kid, because they don't say vibrator. They just said like, oh, this one has little, you know what I mean? They allude to it. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, I guess those things just go over your head until you're in a place to kind of like understand them, and you take what you want from it at the time. But the other thing on that note, see, it's like, ooh, like this is what I was saying. I was like, is some of this like not good for like a certain age? I don't know, because then there's also all these great themes about like changing and story arcs and female empowerment and sisterhood. And then also the way that they talk about themselves and their bodies so confidently. Like, I love that. Like, they name all the body parts appropriately. Like, they're talking about their hymens and their breasts and their cramps and diaphragm. Like, it's very like, I don't want to say like adult, but it's like, I don't know. Like I wasn't walking around talking about my hymen at age 12. You don't use that word. So anyway, I was just like watching it like, there's a lot of adult themes.
Yeah.
in their way, in their teen way.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. To me, it seemed like it acknowledges the information and the self-awareness and the wants and desires of teenage girls. And like, I think when it comes
And
to
boys.
at what age, this is really about the girls though. I mean, yes, the boys too. But I think, yeah, the question is like, at what age are kids aware, not even necessarily of like that in themselves, but just like that this is a thing that exists
Yeah, in the
and is a
world.
topic in the world that, you know,
Mhm.
could show up in a movie. I mean,
Mhm.
my assumption is that like, um, if a kid is watching this and they're like, it's they're kind of too young for it in a sense. There's a lot of characters for them to latch onto who are like,
Yeah.
ugh, boys, gross.
Yes. And I was just thinking about how, like you just said, like, but this movie is mostly about girls. And you're right. It is very much about the girls and the girls' journey. But we do see, like, the boys come in at the end for the concert and then they interact with the boys. And I just think this movie also is about, like, how they as girls navigate their independence, wanting to be successful, their ambition, but also being interested in the opposite sex. And how do you balance those things and navigate those things successfully? And I'm probably reading too much into it now, like as an adult, but I think it really, like, that's a nuance I think I never appreciated until this watch. And I think that's something that really dominates a lot of, you know, when you get into like later teen years and university, balancing the social dynamics of all of that, while also still wanting to pursue things for yourself. Very interesting. Even like they talk about like little white gloves and not wanting to wear little white gloves. And now, like one of my friends and I talk all the time about how hard it is to be a working mom in 2026. And it's like, yes, it's happening. like balance, like not that little white gloves, but like still balancing life, what I want, independence, ambitions, my job, my relationship, like that I'm happily and successfully in, but it's still something to work at and balance and keep everyone happy and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So it's just cool that this movie, it's like a sprinkle of that.
I think this movie does speak to current realities in the ways that you're talking about. I would add maybe like another angle, which is something that's kind of been on the back of my mind. I haven't really been sure
Let's
how
hear
to
it.
like kind of relate it to this movie, because like there is a very big difference between now and certainly when the movie was set, but even when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like the late 90s. Which is that now like girls' educational attainments are surpassing boys. Like girls are doing better at school, and this is both like K to 12 and I think in university as
Yeah.
well. And I think that is translating career-wise as well. So on the one hand, it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, this isn't really relevant anymore, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think that tension that you're talking about is still so there. That tension between like achievement and ambition and independence, and then balancing that with like just having relationships with the opposite sex. A lot of that is like even trickier now for this generation of girls and boys than it was in the past in some ways.
Do you think it's because the roles are a little more fluid and nuanced?
I think that there's a lot of speculation about why these difficulties are happening. I think that like I don't think there's much question at this point that like boys and men are struggling in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And that like, you know, comparatively speaking, girls and women are doing a lot better in some areas. This is just like very broad averages. But like one of the things in this movie that really I think kind of I thought was surprisingly very resonant, even though the technologies have changed so much, was this thing of, so the boys come to the school for like the dance slash choir. They make a bet about whose date is going to have the biggest breasts. And they have a thing about like it only counts if you get a picture.
Yeah.
And there's a guy with a
That's
camera.
crazy, eh?
And it just breaks your heart, this whole thing where like one of the girls, like, you know, this guy basically is like, oh, let's go to this whatever private place. And he like pulls up her bra and exposes her as the guy jumps out with his camera and takes the picture. And then it kind of works. I mean, works out. It kind of works out because Snake, not knowing, ends up beating up the guy and his friends who do this and break their camera for unrelated reasons. But I mean, it is one of those things where now, like, yeah, girls are doing better than boys academically in all these ways, but then you have this whole world of like pictures being circulated and like even like deep fakes and blah blah blah, just like a whole world that like technologically is so perilous and so not just like, it's not just hurtful, but is like, you know, the damn patriarchy is kind of like in full swing in this very awful way. So it's sort of like, yeah, so I don't know, it's this very intensified version of this tension that you were talking about between, on the one hand, it's kind of like ambition and success and flourishing, and then on the other hand, it's like there's so many complications and risks, and also potentially like really great connections when it comes to, you know, having relationships with boys. And like, I think for girls now, that tension is so high.
Yeah, I cannot even imagine.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do when as our girls get older.
I know, right? And like,
yeah, it'll all be
like,
solved by then, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Whenever Sean says like, I'm really worried about this, I'm like, no. It'll be fine. I'm just gonna put my head in the sand. It'll be fine.
Yeah. By the time we get there, it'll be a whole different set of problems anyway. Maybe.
Right?
I don't know. Even though apparently it's all the same. It's all the same problems, just different iterations.
Just in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Like you just said, like now we have like phones and videos and deepfakes and TikTok and blah, blah. And back then, this is what they were still sneaking cameras around with the massive lenses and a flash.
Yeah.
To like sneakily take photos. The underlying thing there is like, I don't want to say boys versus girls, but it's like the motivations of cohorts and what are they trying to do and how are they going to do it, and, you know, and how to navigate that while also wanting more things. And
but yeah, I mean, do you think the movie lands in a place that is basically like girls rule, boys suck?
No. Does
Say
it?
more. I don't know. Say more.
Do you think? I don't think it lands there because of the relationships we do see. Like Tinka and Snake, like her going with him. No one poo-poos that. They think it's fabulous that she's going to spend time with him. When Kirsten Dunst ends up with the boy that kind of won her over and they're going to the co-ed school, nobody poo-poos that either. Like nobody sees that as like, you're a traitor. You're turning your back in like a serious way. Like they joke with her, but like, so it's not about boys drool. I think the message is really about how to stand women up the best without putting others down. Like I think the girls rule, boys drool thing is like, we shouldn't have to like put someone down to bring someone up, you know? And I think this movie in the end really focuses on like, how can women be the best women they can be? Stop. Like, not about putting boys down, but maybe for a time in 1963, women can be the best they can be if boys aren't around for a little while and they can study and they can focus on their academics and they can learn about sisterhood and empowerment and, you know what I mean? And maybe, so it's not about putting boys down. It's just about setting women up for success and whatever that looks like. And maybe in 1963, this is what it looked like. Yeah, I was going to bring up the Headmistress. Maybe now's a good time. This topic is making me think of her. How did you feel about the Headmistress?
I loved her.
Yeah. So much.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was younger, I didn't appreciate the role she has. And then in this movie, in this watching, I'm like, I think she's like my favorite character. she does the whole tough love, firm but fair thing really well. And I think she's what they need. And even just her side kind of remarks about men and stuff, I thought it was so funny. She has the best speeches about like women at that time and how they can do good for themselves. I found her very inspiring.
Yeah, the humor that she brought to it and the nuance that she brought to how she dealt with the girls. It's kind of like she is able to govern this way because it's an all-girls school. She can have some more latitude in terms of her attitude, her humor, her interactions because of that environment. When Gabby first gets to the school, she makes a joke making fun of like the statue of the founder of the school. And then the headmistress kind of comes up behind her and like adds on to the joke.
Yes.
And in that moment, you do feel like she can add on to the joke because this is an all-girls school somehow. I feel like she brought a lot of warmth and authority. She's exactly the kind of mommy that you know what I mean? Like with Atomic Blonde, I think we talked about like how Charlize Theron was the daddy. And here the headmistress is the mommy.
Is the mommy.
Yeah.
What a great little pair they would make.
Yeah.
She's a very strong woman. Much like we were talking about, like the girls can explore themselves and be their true selves and find themselves and change their mind. I think she can really lean in to like the joke she tells or the relationship she's built because there isn't that other presence around. One of my favorite scenes on this watch was the one where she is telling Verena that she's expelled. And they're kind of sharing this like what felt very real conversation. Like the headmistress doesn't have to be the headmistress anymore because she's expelling Verena. So she can be a person now. And she kind of shares her perspective on school and gender and equality and ambition. Even just the like, you want a cigarette? I think Verena like was like, what? Like, you're not my student anymore. I'm going to now talk to you like an adult woman. Please listen. I loved it. Like, this is like such a good little take on the world. Which brings me, I wanted to ask you very specifically, how did you feel about what I think very fun kind of epilogue, like what happened to them all? You did mention you don't like that in movies, and they did it in this movie. What did you think?
I also wanted to ask you about this because it worked. I think it worked really well.
So well.
It worked so well. And I'm like, why? Oh, please tell me why.
I did a lot of thinking on this.
Good.
Because I forgot that they did that. And then while I'm watching it, I was like, oh, I'd love to know like where they are. And then I like right before it happened, I was like, oh my God, they do it. I'm so excited. And then I was like, that's funny. I wonder how Netta will feel about it. I think she'll really like it, but that's weird because it doesn't align. So I think it works in this movie because as we were just saying, I think the undercurrent of the whole film is what can these women do when they are here in this school with each other, being strong, and what can they achieve and where will they go? The whole premise is what can they become? So we need to see that. Like, I think to bring it full circle and to make us feel like, yes, like all the stuff they said was true and it worked and they started to get, like, we need to see that payoff. And that's the best way to show the payoff. And I also think they gave them very fun ends that made total sense for their characters. So that's what I think. What do you think?
No, I'm 100% with you. I think that like you need an ending that validates the rest of the movie.
Yes.
I guess the end of a story is kind of like the punchline or it's the end of a movie is really important in terms of understanding what the rest of it means.
Yes.
And so in this movie, I guess without the epilogue, it still could have worked, but you could have, I think, especially as adults or especially as whatever, not even as adults, like I think as adults, we really want to look at this with rose-colored glasses and be like, even without the epilogue, like, no, they went off and achieved their dreams. But I think as teenagers, you know, you might come at it a bit more cynically and more like, you know, and be like, well, you know what? I bet they just went off and had their babies and this and that. And I think that this really kind of like refuses to allow that.
Yes. Or like, as a teen, like, oh, they went off and had their babies. Or like, oh no, that's so dumb. Boys are great. Blah, blah, blah. And I think you're right. Like, to the teen audience, this is a very explicit way to be like, hey, we're going to validate the message of the movie now. Listen up. And I think as an adult viewer, it gives that kind of punch and that end that like that validation that I'm looking for. Like I was just thinking, like, had that not been there as a teen, no matter, whatever, it's still a great movie. As an adult, I think I would feel very differently about it if the last thing we see is like Tinka running off in a crane with a boy.
Oh yeah.
And Kirsten Dunst driving off to a coed school with a boy. And like, I just think I would feel a bit different about it.
Yeah. Anyways. Great choice.
Yes. And it is your pick next.
It is. So what are you in the mood for?
I feel very open now.
This could have been like a short run of like
not
part
necessarily.
2, but you're okay with going in another direction.
I'm okay with, I'm very okay to see like, what did this make you feel?
My movie watching mood is not really a result of having watched this movie. I think it's a result of being tired and wanting I want to watch something a little bit darker. Thanks for joining us here at Popcorn Moms. If you like what you heard, we'd really appreciate your support. Subscribe to the show, rate and review us, and most importantly, share it with someone you know. Thanks for listening.